10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay, folks, good evening and welcome to the Blue Heart 1872 podcast. This evening, folks, we are joined by ex-Celsea, Rangers, Sunderland and Norway international Tor Andrew Flo. Tor's quite happy. Celsea had a 3-0 win against Spurs. Disappointment for Rangers today, folks. First half played very well. Second half didn't turn up. Tor will be on in a couple of minutes. If anybody's got any questions for Tor, please get the questions into the comments section and we'll get through all the questions we can. If anybody's on the Facebook page at the minute, please like and share this. If you're on Twitter, then please retweet. Start putting the questions in, folks, and I'll get Tor on now. So I'm just hoping that the big man will join us here. Good evening, Tor. How are you, sir?
Good evening. How are you? Yeah.
I'm very well, not very good because Rangers slipped up. I know you're happy because Celsea won 3-0. You're a very happy man.
No, they're doing well for the moment, Chelsea. It's been a good last few months for them.
Yeah, well, the way things are going, maybe you could send us some players up the Ibrox tour and.
Rangers are not doing too bad either. Top of the league.
Top of the league. Playing. Yeah. Okay, Tor. So thanks very much for coming on. Obviously, there's a lot of questions starting to come in already. Tor, we could take you back to when you were playing football as a kid in Norway. At what club did you start out at in Norway?
Oh, I come from a small club in the west of Norway, at the end of one of the long fjords in there. Very, very nice sceneries, nice nature. There, it's called Stryn, very small place.
Okay.
But I think the main reason for me to play football was that I had 4 other brothers who played. I was the youngest, actually, out of 6 children, and all 5 brothers we played football, and I think I learned a lot from them, really. So that's where I started. In a small club called Stryn.
Yeah, were you the only one of the brothers to make it professionally?
No, I had my older brother Jostein, who's played also in England for Sheffield United.
Oh, really?
And he had over 50 caps for Norway as well.
Oh, very good. Right, okay. Yeah. So then, obviously, Tor, move on quickly because then you signed for Chelsea. I think if I'm right, I've been saying £300,000.
Yes. So at the time I played in Brandbergen, and obviously it was a big change to come from a relatively smaller city in Norway and then to big London. It was a big thing, obviously. Didn't cost that much money then. There were so many other big superstars at the club, but very nice to come to Chelsea at the time.
And who signed you for Chelsea, Tor?
That was Ruud Gullit. Yeah, Ruud Gullit. He was actually one of my childhood heroes. So I was very proud to be signed by him.
Oh, right. Okay. Play under Tor, or play under Ruud. And obviously, Tor, during your time at Chelsea, obviously, I've got in my notes a hat trick against Spurs and a 6-1 drubbing at White Hart Lane, endeared you to the Chelsea faithful. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think. If there was a hat trick to score, it was definitely against Tottenham. That would be a smart thing to do because I think that's the biggest rivals of Chelsea, and the supporters kind of took me in after that game. For someone to score a hat trick against Tottenham, that was very big.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, at the time you were Chelsea, Tor, that was the time of, well, still is a time, but the big names coming to Chelsea, a lot of money being spent on players, competition for places.
Yes, it was kind of a time when Chelsea started to grow big, started to win things. So won the FA Cup in '97, just before I came. And from then on, they just grew as a club, and obviously now they're one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, then, because obviously the questions coming in, a lot of Rangers fans on here, tours,
Of course, yeah.
we want to talk about obviously the move. So, Dick Advocat and Rangers splashed out £12 million to take you to Rangers. Obviously, a Scottish transfer record has never been broken. I don't think the way Scottish football is, it never will be broken. But when you did you think that the £12 million fee on your shoulders was a burden to carry at that time?
I think it was, because it was so much higher than anything before. But football at that time were going just up and up on the prices and the transfers, and obviously, especially down here in England, it's continued to go up, but went the other ways up in Scotland. But yeah, it was a bit of a burden, because it was only that particularly the media was talking about. So I got a bit sick and tired of it after a while. But I don't think in the beginning, yes, it was a lot of back and forward on that. But in the end, when you start playing, I think you concentrate about what's going on the pitch.
Yeah. And then obviously a question from Stuart Finlay is coming in, because this would go straight to your debut tour. And it was my question for tour tonight is, how did it feel scoring the 5-1 defeat of Celtic on your debut? And did you know how big the rivalry was before you signed?
I obviously knew it was a big rivalry between the clubs, but maybe not as big and crazy as it actually was. I've said to many of the players now that has asked me about atmosphere, and there's no other places, I think, in the whole world of football that there is a better atmosphere than on an Old Firm game. It is just the sound, the loudness of the supporters, that you can't get that anywhere else, I think.
Yeah. So Stuart also says, how did it feel for you, Tor, scoring on your debut in that game?
Yes, of course, that was amazing. It was everything kind of happened so quickly in those first few days there, and coming up, and the first game was of course against Celtic in a Old Firm game. So it was a lot going on. And the feeling after that game, it was just so nice to get that first game done. You'd scored a goal and we beaten Celtic, and everybody was happy. So it was definitely a great feeling going to bed that night.
Yeah. So Tor, can you remember who the other 4 goal scorers were?
I think Barry Ferguson scored the first one.
Correct.
And I also think Jörg Albert scored.
Yes.
Do you know that?
I think Albert's is on down. Was there? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I scored. The last 2 I'm not sure now. I think
somebody will tell us this, but I'm nearly sure that Amoruso scored.
Yeah, it could have been.
And I think Michael Moles scored late in the game.
Yeah.
I think that's, if there's Rangers fans, let us know. But I'm sure that's
the 5. I just wondered, did I score the second goal, or I can't even remember that.
I can't remember. Well, you get the second. It was 1-0 to Rangers, and then they equalised 1 each, and then we scored again. Yeah. I think you got the third. The third.
Maybe, yeah. Could have been.
Okay. So, question from Graham McCallum. He says, who did you get on with best at Rangers?
That was a very good dressing room, I think. I maybe had a good connection with the Dutch guys and the German guys, a bit of the foreign clan, if you know. Michael Moles, Ronald de Boer, Claudio Reyna. So all these guys, Arthur Newman, Christian Neerlinger, Yeah, no, all of us we got together also outside the pitch.
Good. Okay. Obviously, was Dick Advocat brought you to Rangers tour? How did you get on with how did you get on with Dick Advocat?
Dick Advocat was a fair, good coach. He was quite strict, but I think that was necessary at such a big club like Rangers was, with a lot of good players. So yeah, no, I think he did a decent job up there.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got a question here from Stuart Hamilton. They probably say, Tor, what was your best moment at Rangers?
I think that was my opening match, really, to beat Celtic 5-1 that day. I don't think I would ever forget that day as a whole. Everything that happened, and things happened so quickly, and going into Ibrox with over 50,000 in there, with the atmosphere that was there, it was something that would stick in me for forever.
Yeah. Can you remember how many goals you scored for Rangers tour?
I think it was altogether 35 or something.
From how many appearances?
That I can't remember.
Was it 60 something? I think maybe. That's not a bad return. It's not a bad return when you think about it.
No. Well, yeah, I should have said maybe. I hope I could have been there longer, maybe, and then score more goals.
Yeah. And obviously, we were talking before we came on. Obviously, Dick Advocat left the club, and then you worked under Alec McLeish for a while. So, how did you get on with Alec McLeish?
I actually was quite impressed over him when he came in. I didn't know much about him before he came, and he came in and took a strong hand to it, and guided the team to play really well. I think the following season, Rangers won the league as well. So he quickly came in and did a very good job. And I've actually had quite good contact with him later now. The last few years, I met him quite a lot at Chelsea games. He's been going to those games. So I've spoken to him quite a lot, actually, over the last few years.
Oh, you've spoken to him, right? Very good. You see him in Chelsea a lot then, Tor?
Yes, I do. I'm not sure if I have a feeling he lives around there somewhere in London, but I'm not sure. I often see him at Chelsea games, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, do you think he's scouting players for Rangers Tour?
Sorry?
You think he's scouting players for Rangers?
Maybe he does, maybe.
Okay, Stuart Friendly says, Tor, what was the best goal you've scored in your career?
In my career, I think the most important, at least, was for Norway in the World Cup in '98. That was against Brazil. It was a game where we actually, Scotland was actually in the group with us in '98, and we had to beat Brazil to go through to the next stage, and we were 1-0 down. And it didn't look so good. We came towards the end of the game, and then I scored and made a penalty for us to beat Brazil and go through. So I think at least if you ask anyone from Norway, they would probably remember that evening in '98.
Yeah, good. Okay, so we've got the names now. So James E. Robertson says Barry Ferguson, Tor Andrew Flo, Ronald De Boer, Amaruso, and Mikey Mole scored the goals that day. There you go. So George Albert didn't score.
No, he didn't. No. But when I think about it, he actually took the corner, at least, when I scored.
He scored? Is that what it was?
I'm pretty sure he took that corner, yeah.
Right, question from David Lee. Tor, is there any player when you were at Rangers you thought was underrated, that never really got a chance?
I haven't thought about it that way, but I really thought we had a good captain in Barry Ferguson at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, he went on to become a very, very good player. But he was a young player when he was playing with me up there, and a captain. So I thought maybe he would maybe become even bigger at a club in England. But obviously he had a great career, no doubt about that. He was a brilliant player, I thought, and a very good captain.
Yeah, okay. And there's a question from Laura Kerr. Tor, I know you've done the Dancing with the Stars, but is there any other reality shows you'd be interested in taking part in?
It's a bit strange because this always comes up nowadays that I did Strictly Come Dancing in Norway, and then that seems to interest a lot of people. It was after I retired and I didn't have anything else to do, so I joined that. I'm not sure. I thought the reality shows, I'm not sure if that's quite my kind of thing, but you never know. If it's something that I could compete in, like sports-wise, maybe one time in the future.
Yeah, okay. So, Tor, obviously, at Rangers, that when you'd saying that Rangers have paid the massive fee. We talked about the did you felt it was a burden, as in the fee, but how do I say this? Would it be fair to say? I know you didn't negotiate the fee, so the fee was nothing to do with you.
Definitely not.
Clubs. Do you think the fee was well overvalued?
Yes, of course. If you look at it as in a Scottish kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The way that they paid for players, or the amount they paid for players in Scotland, then it is way overpriced.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think there came in offers round from English clubs, probably, that was in this region. So if anybody outside of England wanted me at the time, they had to pay that amount. But I think it would have been easier for everybody if it was a lot lower, obviously. And if it was 1/3 of that price, maybe there would be it could be easier for everyone, I think, for the club and for me.
Okay, right. So Jamesy Robertson's come back and he says, "You're close. Ronald de Boer took the corner. George hit the bar, and Tor scored with a wonderful 4-yard tap-in." So thanks for that, Jamesy.
I have obviously seen this many times, but it's some years ago now since last time I saw it. But okay, so Ronald took the corner.
Yeah.
George hit the crossbar, and then
you tapped it in.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, if you're on the Facebook page, please like and share. If you're on Twitter, hit the retweet button and put your questions in, and we'll get through as many questions as we can. Obviously, folks, a lot of your questions is just repeating itself about the £12 million fee and about the goal against Celtic. I just can't keep asking the same question. But Stuart Finley's back with another question. He says, Tor, who's the best player you've played with and the best player you've played against?
The best player I played with is a player which is very much smaller than I am. That was Gianfranco Sola. That was here at Chelsea. He was such a great player and such a gentleman off the pitch. I learned a lot from him as well. As a player, I thought he was great to play with. And I met him on Friday again. He came from Italy over to London on Friday, so I had a good chat with him then. So he's a good friend still. But what a great player he was to play with. I think he must have assisted probably half of the goals I scored at Chelsea. It was kind of that player that when he had the ball, you just run into a position where you can score, and he would just pass it perfectly to you, so you could score the goal.
Yeah, and the part of the question is, who the best player you've played against, Tor?
Against, I think the old Ronaldo, if you know what I mean. The Brazilian Ronaldo. I think when around 2000, he was an amazing player and probably the best one in the world. So I played a couple of times against him, and I thought he was top class. Otherwise, there were some good defenders as well I played against, especially in the Premier League down here. Jaap Stam was one of them who was really, really tough and hard to go past.
Yeah. Because obviously that's what the next question was going to be. Obviously playing against the centre half. Is there any centre halves you played against that you thought, oh, fuck, here we go again? You just come through you. One of these centre halves just wants to kick you.
I think Martin Keown was one of those for Arsenal. He was a tough one. He would mark you so closely, and you would feel it when he was going into a tackle with you. But he was obviously. I met him many times later now when we both retired, and he's a gentleman off the pitch. So,
Yeah.
but when he walked on that pitch, he was a very tough defender to meet.
Martin Keown, yeah.
I try and turn on the light there. It's so light behind.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, folks, who are on the Facebook page, get the questions coming in.
Better.
More questions. We'd like a few questions from Chelsea fans would help. It's all Rangers fans coming on here asking these questions. Okay, so Hugh Thompson says, Tor, how did you feel when you left Rangers?
It was a bit tough because I had many friends at Rangers. It was a great club, and I really wanted to go on for a bit longer and kind of hit my highs. I knew that at least over a longer period of time, I could have probably played a bit better. There was ups and downs, obviously, but I wanted to get a bit more consistent in my play.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very happy for the two seasons and a bit I had up there. It was such a great experience and such a great club to play for. I've been up there a few times to see games, and wow, it's such an amazing place to watch football as well.
Yeah. So what obviously Stephen Gerrard came up to Rangers and he's won the league now. You've obviously, I know you're not watch Rangers in depth, but you still keep an eye out for Rangers and watch the odd game. How impressed have you been with Stephen Gerrard and the Rangers team?
Very impressed. Obviously, he came in a difficult time, and I think slowly he's built the club up to be very much more solid, and now they look very solid. Actually, they're looking good, and last season was very, very impressive, winning the league with that many points in such a important season. Actually, it was to stop Celtic from getting the 10. I think if you ask any Rangers supporters, they would be glad that it happened when it happened.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so the question here from Laura Kerr. She says, hiding behind my hands in case it's me, but what's the weirdest, craziest interaction you've had with a fan?
That's a little bit of I'm not sure. The weirdest interaction.
I'm sure you've been approaching a few shops or whatever by weird fans.
Yeah, no, I have. I think the most. I had an embarrassing thing. Like when I played, I can't remember where that was. I was asked to write an autograph to someone, and just behind me, I heard a different name, and I signed. Funny enough, not my name, but the name I heard behind me. That's never happened before. So I handed it back, writing a different name than myself, which I maybe found a bit strange. And I'm sure the supporter that asked for my autograph found that very, very strange. Brilliant. I think we fixed it after, but that was what happened, I think.
Okay. So Gary Patton says, obviously we talk about Rangers, but did you know how big Rangers were before you moved to them, a club? Did you know how big they were and the pressure would come with playing with Rangers?
No, I actually didn't. Well, people told me how big they were, but I couldn't really believe it in a way. Until you're there yourself, you don't understand how big Rangers is as a club.
Yeah.
I think for example, when we went to training camp in America and you saw all the supporters over there,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. And you realize that, wow, this is a very, very big club worldwide.
Yeah.
So it was amazing to be part of such a great club.
Yeah. Okay. And Stuart Finley's asked again, what advice, Tor, would you give to a young centre forward coming through now? Obviously, we know you're working at Chelsea, you're working with players. What advice do you give to a young centre forward?
Yeah, no, I work with the players. I think well, there's a lot of advice, but it's a bit to keep their head down and work really hard. Don't think that you have made it too early.
Yeah.
I feel that some players they get to a certain level and then they think they have made it in a way.
Yeah.
And they lose a little bit of their hunger. So I really want the players that I work with to be a bit humble and to continue to work hard all the way until the career is over, and not even think that you have made it in a way. Because you should always hunt for something more.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you
You
think?
need to be hungry.
Do you think, and especially obviously down the Premier League, like Chelsea, Arsenal, all the Man City, the money? Do you think money has ruined the hunger for kids coming through? Because once they sign that first contract, they're made for life.
It has probably ruined for some players. Obviously, not everyone, because there are players that love the game more than the money.
Yeah.
But it has probably stopped some great talents from developing to their full potential.
Yeah.
I feel that I've seen that in some players, because they do earn a lot of money in a very young age.
Yeah, you've seen that firsthand. Obviously, if you're working at Chelsea with kids, a lot of them, if you want to be short about it, they're up their own arses. You know, it's because they have so much money and fast cars and
They do, yeah. But then it's my job to keep their head down and make sure they work hard and do all they can to fill their potential.
Okay, so obviously we're chatting about kids coming through, and I know Rangers are producing some good kids. Probably the really good one was poached by Chelsea, Billy Gilmore. So he falls into your remit, obviously at Chelsea with the loan development. How good is Billy Gilmore, Tor?
Oh, he's a very good boy, and obviously a great talent. He's still very, very young, but has come far already. I think if you ask anyone at Chelsea, they really praise him, both for his his skills on the pitch, of course, but also with his behavior off the pitch. He's a true professional, and he can go really far. It's someone Chelsea have a great belief in.
Yeah, so obviously, are we talking after this year's loan at Norwich, Billy Gilmore become a permanent fixture in the Chelsea first team, do you think?
That could easily happen if he continue his development. I think he's someone that was considered to be in the squad this year as well. But I think it's a smart thing for him to go out on loan, because at Chelsea it's really hard to get game time, and that's exactly what he needs.
So see, that's what I'm interested in. And obviously, Billy Gilmore is available for a loan. Is it the likes of yourself decides what club he goes to for his development, or is it the player chooses?
No, it is the player at the end. Obviously, we can give advice and all that, and you speak to their agents. They are involved, and yeah. So there are, but at the end, it's the player who must want to go to this club. That's the main thing. You can't send a player to somewhere that he doesn't want to play football. So it is him at the end who decides.
Yeah, because obviously Billy Gilmore, I'm sure there was a few more clubs would like to take Billy Gilmore on loan. So I just wonder why he chose Norwich, or has Chelsea said, look, Norwich is the best option for you? That's really get more football.
It's a little bit of all of that, I think. I think he would have wanted to play in the Premier League. I think a lot of the young players wants to play in the Premier League, and by the looks of it, he gets his game time, which is very, very important for his development. So it ticks a lot of boxes where he is just right now. We just hope that Norwich can get some more points as well. That would make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, okay. We'll come back on to what actually you get up to at Chelsea these days. But Graham McCann says, Tor, do you feel you were almost forced out by Rangers?
No, I didn't feel like that. But I do understand the nature of football, you know. As a striker, that was a bit similar at Chelsea when there comes in offers and either if you do well, it depends what the manager are after, and so if the club wants to move you on, that's how the world of football is. So I could probably have stayed as well, but I think at the time it was. It wasn't too bad to go back to the Premier League either. Although it wasn't such a good season that at Sunderland either. We went down. So
Okay, and then Stuart Finley's back on another question. He says, Tor, what do you think about the standard of Norwegian football? And is there any talent that you would recommend to either Chelsea or Rangers?
At the moment, we have Erling Haaland playing in Germany, so he's probably one of the best players in the world right now. There are some really good talents coming through in Norway, and I'm working with the Norwegian under 21 as well for the moment, and we're doing quite well. So I think it's been now over 20 years since Norway have qualified for any of the playoff tournaments. So it should happen now, I think.
Right. Okay.
With all these good talents.
Yeah. All these good talents, Tor. Now, why can't you send a few of them to Rangers?
Oh, I'm desperate, to be honest, to send a few to Rangers. And I would love to work with them and come up to Rangers and see some games as well. So I know that Rangers have been discussed for several players actually from Chelsea, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Are we allowed to know the names of the players?
No, that would be silly of me to come up with names for that. But at least when it didn't happen. Right,
okay. But anyway, at least we know that the club is actively talking to clubs like Chelsea for players on loan. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No. I think Rangers is a very highly rated club, so that would have been great to get players up there as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, here's a question for you. Do you not want to answer this? From Gary Patton. Tor, was Chris Sutton an idiot on the pitch back then as he is now?
You know, I played with Chris before we both went to Scotland. So, no, I think... well, how I know him from outside the pitch, he was not like that. I don't have a personal kind of relationship. Or can I say? Well, I don't know him so much outside the pitch, if you know what I mean. But no, we got along quite well when we played together at Chelsea, at least.
Yeah, okay. And Graham McCallum says, Tor, did you ever play with anyone that you just didn't get on with?
I think that you don't really have to get on with all the players in a dressing room. We are all different. But I think the main thing is to respect each other enough to play the best way you can together out on the pitch.
Yeah.
I think that's part of being professional. You don't have to like each other so much, like off the pitch in a way, but respect is a very good word for it. Respect each other, be professional, and do what you can for each other when when you are teammates.
Yeah, okay. And we've already been through this, but I'll put it up. So Brian McNair says, what does Tor think of Billy Gilmore? We've already spoke about that, Tor.
Yeah, no, I think he's an excellent player, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I really hope that he would succeed and become, first of all, now a Chelsea player. I'm sure he will do a lot of good with Scotland as well for the national team.
Well, you can all send them back up the road, the Ibrox, if it's not working, Tor.
Yeah.
So Stuart says, Tor, what is the funniest story you can tell us about some of the players you have played with? There has to be a few stories, Tor.
If
you go to the
there is a saying that what happens in the dressing room stays in the dressing room. But I think, the times I laugh the most is that when you go to a new club that you have to sing a song and up on the table and all that. There have been some very funny songs that's been sang up through the years when I played football. I had to do that myself, obviously, a few times, and the British players, let's call them that, they can be cruel if it's not very nice. So if you don't sing nicely, you can get tomatoes and eggs thrown at you, and but it's all good fun, actually.
Yeah. Obviously, Tor, go back at the time at Rangers, but obviously you've been in a lot of stadiums throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
How impressive is Ibrox when you go through that front door and you've got the marble staircase?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any other club like that?
No, I don't think so, actually. Ibrox is you could feel the history of a great club when you walk into Ibrox. It's just amazing. Obviously, nowadays there are bigger and more modern stadiums, but that doesn't matter in a way, because Ibrox got a proper soul to itself. It's just amazing to go in there and feel the history of such a great club.
Yeah. So then, obviously, we talk about obviously back to Chelsea. What you do nowadays? If you could tell us exactly what you're at doing at Chelsea.
Yeah, no. So for the first 5 years, well, I've been at Chelsea now working for 10 years. So the first 5 years, I was working as a coach at the academy, and then I moved into a role where we look after loan players, because as you probably know, we've had a lot of loan players going out, and that has been a big part of what Chelsea is in a way. We want players to go out and develop and then come back and hopefully be ready for the first team. Because we saw that we had a lot of good players at the academy, but the step was just too big to go into the first team. So I'm part of 4 ex-players who look after loan players, give them advice. We talk to the managers where they are, and try our best for them to keep developing and fulfill their potential, and hopefully one day get back to the first team.
So there's 4 of you carrying out this role. How many players, obviously, have you got then that's out on loan and shared around the world?
No, actually now we've gone down a bit. So I think now this season we have 25 players, I think it is. But we have been over 30 and actually over 40 in some part of the seasons previously.
Wow.
So I think it's not that Chelsea wants to have too many players out, but sometimes you can't kind of you couldn't sell them, or so some go out on loan, which shouldn't maybe be out on loan. They should have been moved on. But I think now we have more a reasonably number to work with.
Yeah. Obviously, you talk about players going out on loan and making the step up to the first team. Do you think that they should have some sort of the English Premier League should put something in place to make sure that these kids can just get that chance in the first team? because you're talking about the gap's too big. But still, no, you've sent Billy Gilmore out to Norwich, another Premier League club. He's still playing Premier League football, but you're saying the step's too big.
Yeah, and I think if we are honest, I think it is still a little bit of a difference. I need to be a bit careful here, but I think it's more difficult to get into the Chelsea team than it is to get into the Norwich team.
Yeah. I understand. I know that, but what I'm trying to say is, I mean, Gilmore's good enough to play in the Premier League.
But the thing is, Gilmore is so young, and I think Chelsea would think that in a couple of years he could be one of the star players for Chelsea. So to loan him out in a level little bit under where Chelsea is right now could help him to take that step up and become a Chelsea player in a season or two.
Yeah, because some of the players obviously Chelsea have sent out on loan. Even we were talking earlier on, you and me, about the Southampton have got a couple of players from Chelsea on. Well, one that's been bought, the fullback. And
Livramento we have sold, but there is a buyback clause, I guess.
I've seen him quite a bit this season, and he looks good. Yeah.
No, I think there's been so many going out from the academy, and I don't think Chelsea, they don't want to see them just disappear after the academy if they can't get into the first team. So it is a good thing to put them out on loan and see how they develop. Or if they could get a buyback clause, that could also be a good thing for the club.
Yeah. So Hugh, Tom's last question. Tor, were you ever sent out on loan, and did you enjoy it?
I actually never went on loan, so I don't. I don't have a personal experience with it. I think back then we thought that loan was something when you weren't so successful in a way. It was kind of, you didn't get into the team and you had to kind of find something else for a while. But if you use loan the right way, then it can be very, very good for the player, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And Stuart Finley says, Tor, you have achieved a lot in football, but what ambitions do you still have in football, and also personal ambitions that you want to achieve?
I took all my coaching badges, and my plan was to go into management or coaching. But then I've now got into a role at Chelsea where I enjoy myself a lot. I can work with young players and help them to develop, which I really, really enjoy. So at the moment, I'm in a very happy place. But being an ex-footballer, there's always something in me that wants to compete all the time. So it could be that I could go into the world of coaching, but then again, it's a very uncertain kind of world if you go into the coaching. Now that I have my job, it feels a bit more stable in a way.
Yeah. Okay, folks, if you're on the Facebook page, like and share, and if you're on Twitter, retweet. Folks, I'm not going to ask no more about the £12 million fee. I'm sure Tor's fed up listening about the £12 million fee. Good question from Graham McCallum. Graham says, do you think the world's biggest clubs just take the youngsters so others don't get to them?
It almost feel a bit like that sometimes, but I don't think that's their aim. They want to take them and see if they can develop to go into their first team. But some of the bigger clubs, they have a lot of money and they can take chances on youngsters like this. So, but no, I don't think they do it to prevent other clubs from having them.
Right. Okay.
I hope not, at least.
Okay. So obviously at Chelsea, massive club, loads of wonderful players. Fair to say, Tor, now that Man City is on a different level again. Would you agree?
Sorry, that Man City is a level above, or?
Yeah, Man City a level above, as in money wise, the
Oh
way they
yeah.
bring players in, the amount of kids that they have and out on loan.
Mm.
When you look at players that have left there and went to Germany, Jadon
Mm.
Sancho couldn't get near the first team.
No, yeah. No, you're right. City has kind of, over the last few seasons, they have been investing a lot, and they seem to have a endlessly amount of money, some of these clubs. So, yes, you saw last season as well, winning the league from City here.
Yeah.
That is a big club. But I do think Chelsea could compete against them this season. At least what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Also winning the Champions League last season from Chelsea. So actually here in England, I think it's a 4-team race at the moment. 4 very, very good teams in Liverpool, Chelsea, City and United.
You think that's a 4?
I think so, yeah. I don't think anyone else could come above any of these teams.
So that's been the same 4 now for a few years. So the gap's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
It seems that way just now, yeah. I think this season I've been more sure about that than any of the previous seasons. So I really can't see anyone coming up to knock any of these 4 down.
Yeah, well, that's obviously the 4 clubs with all the money. It's all about
It is, isn't it? So yeah, money plays a big part. We have to be honest about that.
Yeah. Okay. Question from Sammy Doherty. What do you make of Rangers' performance so far this season compared to last? Obviously, Tour Rangers aren't really still top of the league, but they're not hitting the form they had.
No, maybe not. But I was looking at them and I see them at top of the table already, and they haven't really kicked on. I think there's a lot, probably more to come from Rangers. But at the same time, for me, it looks like there's no one else that looks any stronger than Rangers. So I think it's still looking pretty good. Although you want to see the great football every time, but early on in the season, it's often a bit difficult to find the rhythm. But I think that will come, and I think they will be very strong this season as well.
Yeah, because obviously, Tour, if you're top of your league and you're not playing well, you're only going to get better.
Yeah, that's true. I think I saw the press conference with the Chelsea manager as well before the game today, and he got a similar questions like they haven't been playing well, but and then suddenly they kick on today, beating Tottenham comfortably, and it's a bit of the same story with Rangers, I feel. Just now.
Okay, so Graham McCallum, what do you think of the World Cup being played every 2 years? Will this cause more burnout for the younger players?
Yeah, I think I've heard there's talk about.
I didn't know this.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard there's been talk about this. I actually spoke to the head of the PFA here in England, and players are already kind of exhausted in a way with all the matches that are being played. So I'm not sure if it is a great idea. It will be great for us to watch, obviously. Yeah. But there are so many matches for these players nowadays that they could get burned out a bit. So I'm not so sure.
Yeah. What's your views, Tor, on the World Cup being taken out to Qatar? In the heat?
I haven't really had a strong opinion on this. There's been a lot of back and forward on it being played in Qatar, but I haven't really put my head into all of what's been going on. I know it's going to be very warm. That's for sure.
So what happens then? Obviously, I mean, for the likes of Chelsea and players going to the World Cup. So is the Premier League stopping for the World Cup?
Yes, that's what I have. That's how I understand it. Yeah, there's a gap later on in the season. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah. That's not. I don't like that. No.
Okay. It's a bit different, at least. Yeah, to say it the least.
Yeah, okay. So Stuart Finley says, Tori, what team did you support in Norway? Mine was, can you read that?
Yeah, that's Ålesund.
Yeah.
Ålesund, yeah, that's not too far from me. You probably haven't heard of this team either. It's called Sogndal, which now is in the second level in Norway. Yeah, I think that was my team, and I played for that. I actually started as a professional player there, and I finished my career there. So I had some good time at this smaller club called Sogndal.
Yeah. Stuart Burns, here we go. Stuart Burns, do you think Rangers signed you because of your great performance against Barcelona?
Well, it probably was a part of it, but I hope. No, I know Dick Advocat. He followed me actually for quite a few years before he signed me.
Oh, right. Yeah.
When I was playing back in Norway, I played for Brann Bergen, and we played against PSV, and he was the manager there. We actually knocked out PSV of the European Cup. At that time, I think that's when he first saw me play Dick Advocat. Yeah, so I don't think it was just one game.
Yeah, how many? Let's chat about that game against Barcelona for Chelsea. Was it 2 goals you scored, Tor? Stamford Bridge.
I scored 2 goals in the home leg and 1 away.
Yeah.
So it was obviously that this was the Champions League quarterfinal. I think the first time kind of Chelsea was in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So it was a good round for me, but in the end it went to extra time at Nou Camp, and we got a man sent off and conceded goals in the extra time. So we didn't go through, but it was a great experience.
Yeah. What do you actually make of Barcelona now, sir?
It's been a lot of stuff going on there last couple of seasons. Obviously, they are still a good team, but not quite the same as they were a few seasons ago.
Yeah. And one of the questions that always get asked is, for like yourself, Messi or Ronaldo? Who's the best?
I'm a bit like one day it could be one or the other. I think they are so even that it's impossible to separate them. I do like the way that Messi is playing. He's wonderful to watch play. But as a professional and how a player can push his body, I think Ronaldo, there's no one like him.
Yeah, because it's fair to say Ronaldo has done it in England, he's done it in Spain, he's done it in Italy.
Yeah, hasn't he? He's just amazing. He's scoring again today. He never stops, does he?
Yeah, man's a machine. Okay, so who do you prefer playing under, Advocat or McLeish? This is from David Lee.
Oh, I don't like to answer these kind of questions.
These
are good kind of guys that I've played under. But I didn't play that long under McLeish. So I wish probably I could have had more time under him.
Yeah.
He just came in towards the end of my time at Rangers, so I had a lot more time with the Advocat.
Yeah. And one of the questions is towards coming in on my phone is, who was the fittest player at Rangers when you played? Who was always in the gym? Who was the fittest?
Oh, the fittest. I think Amaruso had the most muscles, didn't he?
Yeah, but
I think he must be the one that lifted the most weights. He was strong.
Yeah, but strong, but as in gym.
Yeah, like fit. I think like endurance and stuff. I think Barry Ferguson would be the one that could run forever.
Wow,
he had great endurance.
Well, Mikey Moles won't be happy you didn't say Michael Moles, because he's still in the gym every day.
I think Michael. The thing about Michael, he's the best player I've ever seen to turn with the ball. Like he could play, and he could turn away any player, and I think many players that have played with him and against him say these things.
Yeah. Okay, Tor. Well, that's an hour of your time we've had, and we're very appreciative for you coming on. Thank you very much.
It's a
Um,
pleasure. It's nice to
if
be
you,
on.
yeah, and thanks for all the questions, folks. Tor, if you stay on, I'll finish this, then I'll come back to you. Okay, Tor.
Yep,
Thank
that's
you,
cool.
thank
Thank you
you,
very
thank you,
much.
thank you. Okay, folks, there you have it. Tor Andrew Flo, what a nice guy. Answered all the questions, no problem at all. Obviously. Working at Chelsea now. Hopefully, Tor can get us a few players and send them up the road to Ibrox. Folks, this Friday night at 6 o'clock, we'll be previewing the game next weekend for Rangers. Be joined by the usual crew, plus a few other fans. Ricky Neal's joined us. With John McKinnon from Brisbane, Australia, and Darren Hosey from the Hong Kong Loyal will be joining us, plus Stuart Finlay and Wolf Marshall. Folks, I hope you enjoyed it. A few more players will be coming on soon. We'll get them lined up. And I hope you enjoyed it, folks. And anyway, please like and share, folks. I need all your help in this. And if you can hit the retweet on Twitter, that would be great. And if you're on the YouTube channel, please subscribe to it. Okay, folks, good night.